Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? Welcome to the coming apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and it it definitely is the apocalypse. It's seemingly hitting Israel, especially in the city of Tel Aviv, as a massive amount of rockets, barrage fired on Tel Aviv, leaving over 1 million Israelis scrambling for shelter. This is just now breaking. Let me tell you all about that right after this. Guys, folks, listen. Speaking of digestive issues, this is caused by potential toxins that in all of the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat with the fraudulent food pyramid for the longest time. And this potential toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist. This is affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain, fatigue, digestive discomfort, and stiff joints, even skin problems, all coming from this toxin. Well, Dr. Gundry explains that these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because the digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. I can assure you that the damage is probably caused by these health foods, and it's far from normal. The good news is that you can easily help fix this problem from your own home. It's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain this hidden potential toxin. So here's what to do. I'm going to call you to action right now and say what you need to do is go right now, find out for yourself. Click on that link in the description below this video at www.gutcleanseprotocol.com/Paul. That's www.gutcleanseprotocol.com/Paul. Click on that link, watch that free video below, and understand, find out how Dr. Gundry can help you in this war on food. It really is, guys. Well, now, let me tell you about the war going on in the Middle East, because certainly we are witnessing it, we are watching it, we know it's in process, and it's very disturbing. I can tell you that. Very, very disturbing. And here we go. Massive rocket barrage. This attack took place here within the last hour and a half. Has just now breaking as it has just been a barrage on top of the people of Tel Aviv. Already we have injuries that's been reported, at least 5 Israelis. Emergency services are scrambling throughout the city. We just don't know how many of these rockets actually hit. As you can see behind me right here, you can see when they started this barrage, they just start shooting them. Well, they shot so many this time. The Iron Dome could not. It overwhelmed the Iron Dome. Okay? Hamas has launched this massive rocket attack. Israelis have been wounded in different incidences. In Holon, they've been hurt. Tel Aviv, there's injuries. Kfar Sababa, injuries. Ber Yaakov, injuries. Yavin, injuries. And while the barrage sent more than 1 million people running to their shelters for cover, all the wounded are in the Tel Aviv area. Megan David Adam, the Israeli National Blood and Medical Emergency Service, said it was investigating reports of the rocket falls after the attack, which reportedly was the largest since Israel declared war on Hamas. This is the largest attack on Tel Aviv since this war began. The rocket attacks on Israel's large population centers right there comes as Hamas-run medical authorities in Gaza claim that 700 of their people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes yesterday. Okay, that's what they're saying. Hamas is saying that 700 of their civilians died yesterday from the attacks by Israel. We cannot confirm that yet. 2 shrapnel victims, men in their 40s, in the towns of Bir Yakov and Holland. A 77-year-old man was injured while running to his shelter, and 2 women, one the age of 80, the other one 35, also injured from rockets explosions there in Tel Aviv. Sirens were also heard throughout the northern towns of El Kulsh and Natua, near the border with Lebanon. Israel said it targeted 3 terror cells and Hezbollah position in southern Lebanon earlier today. The Iranian-backed terror group Hezbollah has been sporadically exchanging fire with the IDF since Hamas attacked the innocent civilians in Israel on that day that will live in infamy, October 7th. Since Hamas butchered, murdered, killed, raped, beheaded, burned alive men, women, children, babies on October the 7th. And although Israel's Iron Dome air defense system typically can destroy many incoming rockets, it can't get them all if they're overwhelmed by a sheer amount of projectiles fired rapidly. And so this is becoming more and more the strategy of Hezbollah and Hamas. Now, about 200,000 Israelis internally have been displaced amid ongoing Gaza war tensions in the north. They're evacuating large amounts of Israelis who live in the near southern border, the northern border of Israel, up there near southern border of Lebanon. 28 to 35 different communities are being evacuated. Hotels are near capacity as the government orders evacuations of dozens and dozens of communities near the Hamas-run strip and Lebanon border. Some 200,000 Israelis have been internally displaced in the ongoing Israeli-Hamas war following the terror group. It's October 7th massacre in southern Israel, and amid the escalating skirmishes on the Lebanon border in the north, with terror groups Hezbollah and the allied Palestinian faction of Hamas, the Islamic Jihad, and the Iranians, according to Israel authorities. About half of the 200,000 Jews were instructed to evacuate from 105 communities near Gaza and Lebanon borders in the south and in the north, while half left areas close to the front of their own volition. A spokesperson for the Prime Minister's office has already reported. So about 200,000 Jews have now had to flee from 25 communities that are up to 4 kilometers from the Gaza Strip, and another 28 communities that are within 2 kilometers of Lebanon border. So that's that's 53 different communities of Jews, 200,000 Israelis forced to go into Jerusalem to find hotel space to stay. Now, the one positive note here is that since there's no tourists coming into Israel, the ones that are stuck there are leaving. It opens up all the hotels so that these people can find somewhere to to place their head. But the problem is there's so many Jews now having to flow in there that it's overwhelming the hotel's situation as well. So, here we go. The problems are mounting. It's not just the people in Gaza. I mean, we keep hearing about Gaza, which we know Gaza is being attacked by the IDF because of Hamas. But the thing is, what people aren't understanding is massive disruption that this has caused in Israel itself. Besides 1,400 Israelis butchered and 3,400 other Israelis injured and over 200 people held hostage, The Israelis are now 200,000 Israelis are displaced from their homes. And while that's going on, the shops and the businesses are closed. There's no tourists. And 360,000 Israeli soldiers are already in uniform all along the Gaza Strip and the southern Lebanon border. So those 360,000 are ready to go, and their families are left back home. Many wives and children, and the elderly, and nobody's working. So you talk about chaos. It's not just the million Gaza citizens that have to flee northern Gaza to go to southern Gaza, but it's 200,000 Israelis that are having to leave their homes and 360,000 Israelis that are off to war. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle here. And the devastation to the tourist industry until this thing is resolved. And we just don't know how long that's going to be. I'm thinking that this is going to last at least a year, if not 18 months. It just depends if Hezbollah decides to jump in. If Iran proxies completely turn themselves loose on Israel, and Israel will have to reciprocate. And then what about the Americans? There are thousands of U.S. troops that have just been deployed. Thousands are on their way, not just the 2,000 Marines. Tens of thousands of American soldiers have received their orders to get on high alert, ready to deploy. And many thousands of them are already headed that way. So, and there's battleships, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the USS Gerald Ford, the USS Carney. Those, each of them carrying thousands and thousands of naval personnel. So this thing is heating up. This thing is building up. And meanwhile, Hamas is playing games. They released 2 people. Wait a few days, they release these 2 more people. And they're trying to act like they're being very, humanitarian here. And they're pleading for time. And they're trying to convince the rest of the leaders of the world to side with them against Israel and the Jewish people. And some of the world leaders are getting weak. So, this is what I'm saying. We are sensing the chatter's been out there. And now we're seeing the manifestation of the evil. So our prayers, of course, are for the peace of Jerusalem. Our prayers are for peace for the entire Middle East. Our prayers are for the helpless, innocent civilians, both in Gaza and in Israel, and probably also in Lebanon, and maybe even broader than that, as this Ezekiel 38 seems like it's headed, very possibly, I don't know, but very possibly it could be headed. I'm getting texts everywhere. Let me just see. Give me 1 second. The people are really panicking here. So this is in real time. Okay. So people are getting, I'm sorry about that, folks. Really sorry. But people are getting very, very concerned. And, I'm going to be in Marshfield, Missouri. Is that where I'm going? Southern Missouri. I think it's Marshfield. I'm going to be in a conference. I'll be preaching Thursday night and Friday afternoon. plus I'm in another session, a conference, question answer with Dr. Michael Lake. Dr. Michael Lake is hosting a conference for this Thursday and Friday. He'll be speaking. I'm speaking. Also, Pastor Mike Spalding out of Ohio will be speaking. And it will be a tremendous information will be downloaded in that. This is not for the weak. This is not for the weak. We must prepare ourselves. The timing on this, he scheduled this months and months ago, but the timing is so prophetic, and this is what's been going on here recently. Everything that we seem to be doing now that has been scheduled for months is for such a time as this. Our book, Revelation 9:11. I'm telling you right now, I can't even believe just how right now on time this is. Matter of fact, I just like to read just a little bit of the introduction. Let me read this a little bit. Just a little bit of the introduction. The hour is coming. It is upon mankind. They had a king over the angel of the abyss, whose name in the Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek, Apollyon, that is the destroyer, Revelation 9:11. While praying and meditating on the book of Revelation in July of 2021, I was moved by the Spirit into an open vision and revealed a series of mind-blowing apocalyptic events unparalleled in human history that they were approaching. These events foretold in the Bible will so shake the world that the Apostle Luke foresaw people's hearts failing them for the fear and expectation of those things which are coming on the earth in Luke 21:26. In a vision, I saw a huge sign with the letters Revelation 9:11. That's exactly what I saw. That red Revelation 9:11. The rest of that we put in there. Okay. How the book of Revelation intersects with today's headlines. But that Revelation 9:11, man, that was just, there it was. It was in a vision. And then the Lord said to me, Revelation 9:11, it's about to happen. Warn the people. So I picked up my Bible and I read Revelation chapter 9. As I did, I realized that this often overlooked chapter tells the story of a key being given to an angel who uses it to open the abyss, the bottomless pit, in which the worst beings who were cast out of heaven alongside Lucifer that had been chained are released. The 11th verse calls the king who comes out of this pit Abaddon or Apollyon. In the Greek, Apollyon means destroyer. Abaddon describes a place of destruction. And when I read this, I thought, okay, this hasn't happened yet. I know Revelation tells us that there are 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and the 7 vials of God's judgment poured out upon the world. And I know the events in this book are not necessarily presented in chronological order. So where does this fit? The urgency of this message began to weigh heavily on me. And I haven't felt this kind of prophetic intensity in my spirit since the terrorist attack that happened on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon that killed several thousand people on September 11th, 2001. I felt compelled to warn the world that the Lord had shown to me. Then the Lord said to me, the hour is coming. The hour is coming. It is upon mankind. That's just a little bit of the introduction. But look, so I've taken these 2 years along with my co-author, Troy Anderson, who is a Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist and an devout Christian, strong Christian in the Lord. And I told him, I said, this is what God has showed me. Show me a vision. Show me things that are going to happen. And told me to warn the world. And I don't know any other way, but I need to write a book because it needs to be documented. Because as it unfolds, it needs to be prophetically already been released to people to know so that they can prepare and they can understand their role. And so they're not shocked by the events that are taking place. And so, guys, it's upon us. It's upon mankind. And so I've been writing this book, and then I said, Lord, I need to get it out. And again, God said it will be released when it is the right time to be released. Well, it's going to be released April 2nd, 2024. I'm thinking now. I was thinking that a year ago, but now I'm seeing. At the time that I got this vision from the Lord, Russia hadn't invaded Ukraine. Israel hadn't been invaded. There's certain things that are happening now that at the time I got this vision, which the Lord showed me this a time of war like never before, and cataclysmic events. They're happening, and that's not even the pit opening yet. So we're living in the last days, folks. We're in the end of days. And right now, as these rockets are flying into Tel Aviv, Satan is trying to destroy the Holy Land because he knows his time is short. He knows that Yeshua, that Jesus Christ is coming back, and he's coming to Jerusalem. And he's coming to destroy the spirit of darkness. The Bible says as lightning goes from the east to the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And he's coming with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon the earth and to gather the redeemed from the four corners of the globe. He's coming to make war with the beast and the false prophet. And so the hour is upon us now. Apollyon to be released. And he will release the 4 fallen demons that are under the river Euphrates, as well as a host of demons that fill the sky in the spirit like thick clouds of locusts. This is what John saw in the vision, an onslaught. And I remember hearing my great friend, I loved him, the late Russ Dizdar, and he wrote a book about it, about the Black Awakening, and he would preach on it. I heard him preach on it. It was so incredible. I'm thinking, Lord have mercy. He's describing an event that we've never seen in human history. And he talked about it wants to slaughter. It's Satan hates God's creation. I'm so sorry. I think I did talk. Somebody's here saying I'm a Palestinian. Why don't you talk about the destruction, killing the infant? I'm with you. I have been talking about it. And you have to understand who the enemy is there in Gaza. It is not the Jewish people. They're not your enemy. The innocent Palestinians that are dying there are dying because of Hamas. Hamas brought hell down on you. I'm not saying you specifically because you're not there, but upon the people, and not just the Palestinian people in Gaza, but Hamas has brought hell down on Israel. Hamas has brought hell down on the Palestinians in Gaza. And oh, by the way, I'll just tell you, Hamas has brought hell down on the Lebanese people and maybe the Syrian people. He already has with ISIS. Stop and look at it. How many people have died at the hands of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, the Houthi rebels, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah? I mean, how many people have they caused absolute misery on, first inflicted by them, and then inflicted because they're in the way, the Taliban? I mean, you name it. These guys have caused absolute chaos. They are the reason. And yeah, I know there's innocent Palestinians that are dying, and more will die. And I don't want to see one of them die. But what are you going to do when people set you in front of the bombs as a human shield? What are you going to do? Especially the Christian Palestinians. That's who they put out there first. That's the ones they want out there first. But they don't care about anybody. Look, they don't care to sacrifice their own Palestinian people. They don't care. They are hell-bent on destroying Jerusalem. You have to understand, Lucifer, that spirit of darkness, is trying to prevent the coming of Jesus Christ. But in reality, what he's doing, he's accelerating it. He thinks he's trying to eliminate it. He wants to overthrow Jesus Christ to be the king of the world. He wants to rule the world and prevent the return of the Messiah. So I do pray, believe me, and I have talked about it. Every time I talk about this situation, I do say pray for the innocent civilians in Gaza. Pray for them. They didn't cause this. They didn't bring this on. It was done by Hamas. And if you don't stomp out Hamas, they will continue to rule Gaza with a rod of iron, brutalizing their own people under some wicked Sharia law, and they will continue to slaughter innocent Israelis, and they're bringing misery upon the neighborhood. And behind all of it is the wickedness of the Islamic regime of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And this brainwashed, demonically charged, prophetically prophesied to come evil darkness from hell. And it's here. And Apollyon is soon to be released. Saturday was silent, and surely it was through. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? And Friday's disappointment is Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of a dry bones rattling. This is the praise, make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. I just condemned Hamas. Hamas means violent in Hebrew. Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna run out of miracles anytime soon. Your resurrection power, it runs in my veins too. I believe there's another miracle here in this room. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise, make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Folks, you better get ready. It's coming to us too here in America. My God is able to save and deliver and heal and restore anything that He wants to. Just ask the man who was thrown on the bones of Elisha if there's anything that He can do. Just ask the stone that was rolled at the tomb in the garden what happens when Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up from your graves and bring you into the land. You need to read my book, Victor, and then you'll understand that what I'm telling you is going to happen is following the book of Revelation. Okay? I'm not skipping anything. I'm just going to lead you right to the spot. I will place you in your own land. You shall live. You'll understand. Live. And you'll thank me. We're in the last days, folks. But God's not done yet. The church isn't done yet. Rise up, church. Rise up. Powerful song, very powerful song, and it certainly is showing us the times God restored the nation of Israel, prophesied 3,000 years before it even became a nation that he was going to restore it. I'll read some Revelation, and maybe I should read portions of Revelation very frequently, more frequently than what I've been reading them, and I try to read them a lot. But there's certain things going to happen upon the earth that we need to prepare for. I'm going to read this one here. In the 16th chapter of the book of Revelation. Here's an incredible. It's during the time of the sixth angel pouring out his vial. Now I understand that these are the 7 last plagues of the earth. So this is further on into the tribulation. But let's read it. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. So now we're not talking about the time the Christians are here. We're talking about still people here who have missed the rapture, are now in the tribulation period, and are unfolding during their days the wrath of God. And actually, you have a time, I'll step back for a minute here, because you have a time of tribulation, and then you have a time of the wrath of God, which is even separate from tribulation. There is a little bit of a crossover. So he says, the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters say, thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and was and shall be, because thou hast judged us. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. That's what's happening now. They are shedding the blood of saints and prophets. God's giving them the blood to drink. They are thirsting and drinking of the blood of human beings that they are slaughtering. He said he would give it to him to drink. And I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and the power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which had power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. And they blasphemed the God of heaven. They didn't repent. They blasphemed the God of heaven because their pains and their sores, and they repented not their deeds. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. The water thereof was dried up. The way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. They came out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them unto the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Behold, Jesus said, I come as a thief. Here we are in the 16th chapter of the book of Revelation, and we're having the 6th plague of God poured out, and Jesus is saying, I'm coming for the redeemed. So there has to be some people here who are getting saved during the tribulation period. And Jesus says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And then the 7th angel poured out of his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were voices and thundering and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mightily an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, which Zechariah told us this was coming. And the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came to remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plagues of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. So we have a situation where we're in God's pouring out his wrath, and yet God has also extended his mercy, because there are people that even though they have missed the rapture, they are now believers. They've come to the realization that they need to give their life to Jesus Christ, and they're being saved, but now they're living through misery. But they are coming to Christ, because even one place it says there was all these people in heaven, and in Revelation, John says, but who are these? He said, I see all these redeemed, but now who are these coming? And one of the elders stood up and said, John, you know. Well, he said, who? He said, these are they that have come out of great tribulation and have made their robes white in the blood of the Lamb. These are the tribulation saints. So we're entering in, folks. Trust me. We are now in the Psalms 83 scenario. We are in the 83 conspiracy, confederacy, plotting against Israel. Wow. I have no idea where this is coming from. Don't know where that came from. Don't know how that even got on the air. Crazy. I must be striking a nerve somewhere. That the AI, the AI guys are freaking out. Wow. So what I'm trying to say is, we're in now this Psalms 83 era where the Confederacy, the nations are gathering. Jesus said, when you see the armies compassing Jerusalem, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. We see China and Russia and Iran and North Korea and Syria, and we see this coalition of radical haters of Israel. And we're watching the church get weak. We're even seeing Christians who can't discern the sign of the time. Christians who absolutely have no ability to discern right from wrong, can't discern what's actually happening because they don't know. And I've said before, there's been many wars, spiritual. I think I said this before, maybe today or yesterday, that there are spiritual battles that we all face. We don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but we operate and pray against these demonic forces. But then there's prophetic battles that are prophetically prophesied on earth to be fought. And they are spiritually demonic as well, but they actually are played out right on the planet. So we're in the end times. Please give your life to Jesus Christ. Don't wait. Because we're running, folks. We are absolutely running out of time. Are you saved? Are you serious? It's almost over.